up, everybody? This E coming to y'all with another episode of Hit the Sled. Before we get started on this episode, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hit the Sled. But not only subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the like buttons. That will greatly help me as I'm trying to get Hit the Sled up and going. Hey, man, we got a lot of things going. We got a lot of things we're trying to do. I truly appreciate everybody that's supporting me. But not only am I on YouTube at Hit the Sled, I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter. Follow me. We got a lot of things we're trying to do with Hit the Sled and a lot of things coming down the line. I truly appreciate y'all. Everything that y'all do, follow me, Hit the Sled. We coming. But as I go into this episode right here, my Week 8 college football reaction to this past weekend. Man, it was a great weekend of college football action. But of course, I got to start off with, of course, Colorado being on the bye this weekend. I got to start off with my Michigan Wolverines. We had an eventful last part of this past week with the scandal that came up as far as us spying, stealing signs and stuff like that. And going into this game against Michigan State, I was thinking, man, maybe they will come out slow. Maybe they will come out. The kids might be distracted, not ready to play, having as though their coach is being attacked. But no, they wasn't. They came out ready to go from the very first snap. Michigan dominated Michigan State 49-0. Man, what a performance. Man, it was a total domination. The game was over before it even got started. They was ready to go. Michigan was ready to go. J.J. McCarthy, he had one of those games. He was 21 for 27, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interception. Man, to be quite honest with you, I know Michigan State's been struggling, and now they're 2-7 or 2-7, yeah, I believe, and they're struggling right now. But man, J.J. McCarthy played a hell of a game. He had awesome throws. He had NFL throws. He made great decisions, and he looked like a first-round pick. Man, J.J. played a spectacular game. He really did. He played an awesome game yesterday, and you gotta give him credit. He played awesome. Man, he really did a tremendous job. You could clearly see the development that has went on from the first year he played, from the first year 2 years ago to where he's at now. In his third year, he's doing a hell of a job. Hell of a job. J.J. McCarthy. Hey, he's developing right in front of our eyes. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the tight ends. J.J. featured the tight ends in this game. A.J. Bonner and Colston Loveless, they had a day. They had a tremendous day. A.J. Bonner had 9 for 99, almost 100 yards receiving, a touchdown. Colston Loveless, he had I believe 5 catches, 64 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Did a tremendous job. Tremendous job, man. Those are another 2 weapons right there that Michigan is slowly developing, so that when they get ready to go down the line, when they play Maryland and they play Penn State and Maryland before they get to the Buckeyes, those guys will be ready to go. Those guys will be ready to go. And not only did the offense play well, the defense played well as well. The defense, man, they were locked in from the very first possession. They were locked in. Michigan State couldn't do nothing. They were ready to. They were locked in. They played a tremendous job. Mike Sanders still had a 72-yard interception return for a touchdown. Man, that was a tremendous job. Man, it was no distractions. No distractions. They were ready to go. Defense played well, man. Michigan is up and going. They're going into their bye week, but before I go to that, Coach Harbaugh, you know, after the game, of course, that was the first time he met the media after the accusations by the NCAA and all the published report of writers accusing them of having a scheme, a big heist, stealing sign scheme going on, like a Spygate. So Coach Harbaugh, man, he answered the questions. He had high praise for his team. He talked about him in glowing terms. One of the things they asked him if he feels like his team is being targeted, and this is a direct quote. He said, that's been an attempt to diminish the team in a lot of ways. There have been, let me say that again. There have been attempts, to diminish the team in a lot of ways. It seems like, in his opinion, it's a rally call for the team. They really look like, man, this is something that they're going to rally amongst each other. They're going to try to go. He also stated that their focus was laser-like. They had no distraction. They were locked in. He also said, when asked about an potential NCAA investigation, and this was a direct quote again, he said, "Yeah, I think success does that to people who don't like to see people be successful." So Coach Harbaugh is basically saying that they coming after him because the team is successful. He's making this into a rally call. And if people think that the only reason why Michigan won the Big Ten the past 2 years was because they were stealing signs, y'all got a rude awakening coming. This team is loaded, man. The only thing I will say is that this investigation is going to go on for a while. So this is something that they're going to have to carry along with them a while. These type of things you don't get results in the next 6 months. This is something that's going to be going on into next season. If Jim is still there, it's going to be hovering over the team. And, and to be honest with you, I think the NCAA is coming after Jim. If you go back to the previous investigation as to what went on, as far as the recruiting during COVID, and they went to a place in Ann Arbor, coach supposedly bought them a cheeseburger when they weren't supposed to do it. Apparently, Jim was a little bit disrespectful to the NCAA investigators. And now they're coming after him. So this is something that, in my opinion, I think they trying to pile as much stuff they got on him so that he can leave the NCAA. Leave college football, excuse me. They are really going after Jim. They really going after him. They coming at him with anything they got now. They going full board at him. So, this is one of those things. This is something that's going to be going on for a while with the team. The team is on a bye right now. So this is a perfect time. They're 8-0. They come back. When they come back from their bye, it's going to be, all their games is going to be in November. It's going to be prime time, ready to go. Ready to go. They're going to be ready to go, man. So this is going to be something where they get the back half of their schedule. They definitely have Penn State. They have Maryland. And they got Ohio State. And that leads me to my next game of the week. It's Ohio State against Penn State. Ohio State got the victory 20-12. This game right here, I believe, this was extremely disappointing from a Penn State perspective. All the hype around Penn State was going to do this. Penn State had the best team they had in years. I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. I thought the Penn State coaches let the players down. I really do. I think the Penn State coaches let the players down. I think all we've heard all off season and into this season, Penn State, we got this great offensive line. But the coaches didn't use that offensive line. The coaches didn't use that offensive line. And here's what I mean by that. Penn State, this supposedly great offensive line, we got two great running backs. Penn State only ran the ball 18 times. They threw the ball 42 times. If I got a great offensive line, I am not using my offensive line to pass protect. I'm using my offensive line to run the ball, be physical, come downhill, attack, be mean, nasty. I'm going downhill with these boys. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna impose our will. Penn State didn't do that. Penn State, again, only ran the ball 18 times and threw the ball 42 times. In my opinion, the coaches went into this game and said, we got a 5-star quarterback, and guess what? We're going to throw the ball every play. We're going to show the Buckeyes we got the better quarterback. Instead of them saying, we got the better offensive line, and guess what? We're going to run the ball 42 times and only throw it 18 times. Penn State didn't do that. They did not challenge Ohio State defense on the ground. They didn't do it. In my opinion, it just looked like Penn State was just running plays just to run plays. It wasn't no rhyme or reason. It wasn't nothing set up. It wasn't nothing. It just seemed like we just running plays because we think it's going to work. That's not how you play against a team like Ohio State. I didn't think Penn State had a plan. I don't think they went into it. Here's what I mean by that. The very first possession of Penn State, they run the ball. First play, they ran the ball, get 6 yards. The very next play, they tried to throw a screen. A quick screen. And mind you, if you go back to last year's game, they got hurt. The game changed when the defensive end for Ohio State picked off that quick screen and took it in for a touchdown. You know what Penn State tried to do? They tried to run the same screen against the same dude on the second play of the game. That's what I mean. But it just seemed like they were just running plays just to run plays. There's no rhyme or reason. Why are you running the screen to the same dude at the same dude on the second play of the game? You just got 6-7 yards on first down. You should be trying to keep the ball moving. You should be trying to keep it going. You should be trying to keep running the ball, get you a couple first down, get the game going. And then you can start implementing all those things like that. They didn't have the mentality going into the game. Their mentality going into the game was, you know what? We're gonna show we got the best quarterback. We're gonna feature our quarterback, and that's what we're gonna do. And the Buckeyes weren't going for it. Credit to them. Defensively, the Buckeyes played well. You move on to Penn State defensively, their defense held up. They only gave up 20 points. If you go to the horseshoe, you only give up 20 points, you think you should win. You think you should win. You really do. You gave up 20 points. You think you should win. The only dude that killed Penn State was Marvin Harrison. He's gonna do that. He's gonna do that to a lot of teams. Marvin Harrison he had 11 catches, 162 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's gonna do that. He's gonna get his. Defensively, Penn State limited everybody else. They only gave up 20 points, and that 20 points they gave up was a struggle for the Buckeyes. In the fourth quarter, Penn State only had 6 points. Going into the fourth quarter, Penn State only had 6 points. So in my opinion, Penn State, the coaches let them down. So, you got to credit Ohio State, though. You got to credit them. Ryan Day, he got them boys ready to go. They were ready. They was ready. They was fighting hard. They was at home. They played a physical game. They played some tough teams. Beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, came back and beat Penn State. They got Wisconsin next week at Wisconsin. So beat Maryland. So when they go into Michigan, when they go into Ann Arbor, them boys confidence wise, they gonna feel like we ready to go. They gonna feel like we ready to go. But I believe Michigan is gonna be prime and ready for them. I think, man, it's gonna be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a game. You know, so I think Penn State, James Franklin, let his players down. I really do. I think he really did it. He did an awful job. The coaches did an awful job preparing. Game plan they put together. I just think Penn State was not, they didn't meet the moment. The game plan did not meet the moment. I really don't think so. So we'll move on to the next game. Alabama against Tennessee. You gotta give Alabama credit for playing well in the second half. They came back, got the win. You remember when I told you the last video, the last episode, Hit the Sled, the college football week 8 preview. I said for Tennessee to go into Tuscaloosa and win that game, Joe Mixon would have to have his best game. Joe Mixon, he had a decent game. He went 28 for 41, 271, 2 touchdowns. He had 15 rushes for 59 yards. It's okay. Not great. To beat Saban in Tuscaloosa, you're going to have to play great. At quarterback, Joe Mixon didn't play great. He did not play poorly. Let me emphasize that. Joe Mixon did not play poorly, but he wasn't great. He was not great. And for you to beat Saban in Tuscaloosa at home, Tennessee, especially after you guys beat him last year, Joe Mixon would have to have his best game of his career so far. And he didn't do that. He didn't do it. You know, Jalen Monroe, he had a good game for him, man. He had 14 for 21, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, one interception. He played well again. He did what he was supposed to do. You know, it seems like Bama has steadied the ship. It really seems like Alabama has steadied the ship. It really do. After that Texas loss, it seems like Saban has rallied the troops, got them together, got them playing hard, and it looks like they steadied the ship. They off and running, man. That's what it looks like. You know, so they got LSU coming up after their bye week. They're on the bye as well. They got LSU coming out that bye. That's gonna be LSU offense is humming, but defensively they whoo. So we're gonna see. That's gonna be a game right there in 2 weeks. Next game that I'm gonna talk about is USC against Utah. USC lost this game 34-32. Again. USC defense let them down. The problem with USC is if Caleb doesn't play great, they're not going to be great, good teams. That's the problem with USC. If Caleb doesn't play great, they're not going to be good teams. Caleb went 24 for 34, 256 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. It's a good game. He didn't play poorly, but he didn't play great. And if he don't play great, they're not going to win. Because defensively, they're not good enough. USC's issues goes back with Lincoln Riley. You got to go all the way back to Oklahoma. When he was at Oklahoma, he had offenses galore. They were dynamic. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. They were great, but defensively was always their problem. Now, they got away with it in Big 12 because Big 12, they don't really play defense. But in the Pac-12, people do play defense. So Lincoln Riley got a problem. I've been saying this for the last 3-4 weeks. If he doesn't do something about his defense, he's not going to win. He has to make changes in regard to his coaches, and not just his coaches. He got to do something on the defensive end, defensive side of the ball as far as personnel. USC is too small. They're not physical. They're not a physical team. So Lincoln Riley has some tough decisions to make this offseason. Real tough decisions. So it's one of those things that it's a lot of things going to have to be done for USC to get back to where they want to be defensively for them to win the national championship. The next games, moving on to the next game, Texas versus Houston. Texas gets the win, but the big story out of that is that Quinn Ewers got hurt. Of course, we don't know what went on with that series. I mean, as far as with him, his health-wise. So we'll see. We'll see when it comes to that. But they get the win, though, 31-24. That was a tight game, too. That was a tight game. But, Texas get the win. Good for them. They're moving on. Then you got Washington versus Arizona State. This was the Pac-12 at night. Hey, man, this was a classic game where Washington had a letdown. Arizona State is a little pesky team. They hung around as they were driving to try to tie the game or take the lead. They threw a pick six. Arizona State continues to fight. They're a hard-working team. They really are. They work hard. So, credit Washington. Sometimes you're going to have those games in the season. You really do. You're going to have those type of games, and they overcome them. Luckily for them, they were at home, and they got the win. So, credit for them for fighting through it. Classic letdown game. After a big win over Oregon last week, they fight back and get the win. And one of the games, another game that I want to talk about is Tar Heels, North Carolina versus Virginia. Tar Heels lost to Virginia, 31-27. This was a bad loss, but also it was a classic Mack Brown loss. Coach Mack Brown, from everybody that's been around him, you watch him on TV, he looks like he's a good man. But Mack Brown teams always loses a game that they're not supposed to lose. Every year, other than that 1 year Vince Young led them to the national championship when they upset USC, Matt Leinart and the boys at USC. They always lose when they're not supposed to lose. And this was one of them. Virginia 2-5. North Carolina undefeated. They're not supposed to lose to Virginia. That's a bad loss. Mack Brown's a good man, but that's a bad loss. And the last game that I wanted to talk about is not really too much the game itself, but it's the team. And the team is Missouri. Missouri is 7-1, y'all. They got a big game coming up against Georgia. I think they play them this week or the week after. I'm going to tell you something. Missouri is not a bad team. They're 7-1. I believe they lost to Kentucky. I believe they lost to Kentucky at Kentucky, but Georgia's a good team. Missouri, it's a very good team. They 7-1. So they got a chance to make some noise in a couple weeks against Georgia. So that's my college football preview for the week. That being said, like I said, follow me, y'all. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook, hit the sled. I'm on YouTube. Subscribe, follow me, like my videos. Man, I truly appreciate y'all following me. Follow me, y'all. Hit the sled. Appreciate y'all.